Now we go with Iurasciuc Cristian Ivan. Says, hello, my name is Cristian. I'm from Romania and I'm currently studying 3D environment art in Canada. I want to be an environment artist for games. This is my portfolio, and I also include a work in progress project I'm currently working. Looking to see what to improve on the next projects. Let's take a look. Okay, so I'm going to focus on the environments. Of course, your first environments over here, not that great, right? Like, I know that that was probably some of the initial elements that you were learning about. So this is fine, like building kits and building a bunch of models. If you're an environment artist, you are also, I would say, a prop artist. You already, or you should know how to make a lot of different props that are going to populate your environment. So this is fine. I do feel like your skills are now way above this. So one thing that I would advise for some of these pieces is you could go back, pick 3, 4, 5 pieces, and then just either retexture them or remodel them with like a better level, so that you can show this kind of stuff, right? Like, this is really nice. I did a very similar one for my portfolio. Very similar composition, actually. Like, not as complex on the building, but very similar composition. It was also a desert. Now, there's a couple of notes that I need to tell you. First of all, if you're going to be doing this thing, especially if you're using Maya already, you need to use some displacement on the ground, man. Like, the ground looks way too flat. Like, way too flat. It looks like a complete flat slide or something. So we need to break this up with displacement. And there's no excuse nowadays, because we need to we can just go to Substance 3D library or the Substance 3D assets and download some of those materials, because yeah, like there's no reason why this shouldn't be more high poly. Same for the trees. The trees look a little bit weird, man. I know you were following the concept, and you did match the concept quite nicely, I would say. Like, it does capture the ideas like very nicely. But look at again, like the displacement and the complexity of this trace right here compared to yours. Yours looks very soft. Okay, so we need to add more displacement. I'm not sure if you sculpted this or if you're trying to mimic them, but yeah, like the complexity of the trees definitely needs a little bit more help there. Oh, you're a think tank as well. Nice. I'm a mentor there, so we might cross paths eventually. So yeah, displacement on the ground, better displacement or geometry on the trees. This needs to be optimized a little bit more. And the important thing is, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be a game model or you want to eventually make this into a game art. Did you mention that on your element? Yeah, you do say that you want to be an environment artist for games. So we need to optimize. Like there's a lot of polygons in certain areas that can be definitely optimized, and it's important to work on that. Oh, this one's really nice, man. Really nice. Nice. Okay. So here's the deal, and someone was just asking about this, right? Like, it seems like you're using some sort of like model and Marble Designer or something to create these statues. It might be better if you go online and find some like photogrammetry statues from like museums and things like that. They usually share those kind of elements, and use that on the project instead of trying to create it yourself. Okay, this is an excellent point to teach something that I've mentioned in quite a bit, which is called the level of detail, guys. When you have an object like this one right here, and you have a specific sort of like level of detail, for instance, on the rock, then it's very weird to have such a fine detail there on this like part right here on the symbol, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that you could be able to carve the stone at that microscopic level when it seems like it breaks very easily and you have all of these cracks over here. Okay, same for some of these elements right here. Like, I see a detail right there. You don't really need that one. Like, it's just making the whole thing a lot more noisy. It's very important that we learn something called rest areas, which is areas where there's not a lot of stuff going on. Because otherwise, if we oversaturate our elements with detail and with elements, it becomes very difficult for the audience and for the players to really understand what's going on. So for instance, this column right here, you already have detail on the top, you already have a complex shape, a complex silhouette, you already have some details here. We don't need details here on the center, okay? We don't need that. And it's always important to look for a reference, right? So if we look for a Gothic column, not all the Gothic columns have all that detail. Look at this ones, for instance. I'm not sure if these are specifically Gothic, but see how there's nothing going on here? Yes, we have a little detail on the top. Yes, we have detail on the bottom, but then we don't have any detail here, which keeps a cleaner image or a cleaner sort of like silhouette on this area right here. Look at this ones right here. Detail on the top, detail on the bottom, clean on this area. Same for the arches. The arches are very clean. We can keep the arches with a very, very clean texture, with a very clean surface, and then have all of the detail on the inside. So it's very important, guys, that we don't add detail just for the sake of adding detail. And I see a little bit of that going on this one right here, Iurasciuc, or Cristian. I do feel like you're adding a little bit more detail than you actually need. Another thing, and this is elements that people are going to criticize. Sorry if I'm going like really nitpicky on this project, but for instance, this pattern right here, that's not a Gothic pattern. So if you're doing a Gothic cathedral, you need to look for Gothic patterns, Gothic trims, Gothic specific silhouettes, because that's what people are expecting. It's not just like filling things with whatever you think is going to fit. You need to have your resources in order, okay? So for instance here, I know this is a 3D element, but you can see, actually no, I don't like that one. This one's a little bit better. You can see some of the ceilings, the vaulted ceilings. That was a very common thing in Gothic architecture. So if you're going to be introducing some of that information here, like this paneling, I would probably just remove these things right there on the center. Like you don't need to have, again, detail in every single corner of your element, okay? Yeah, no, the rest areas, the design principles, and again, the noisiness of things. Like for instance here, this archway right here, Cristian, add more points. Again, I know we talk about optimization, and I know we talk about making sure that we don't overdo certain elements, but this is one of those points, especially curvatures, where you can definitely push your poly count a little bit higher to make sure that it doesn't look as, you know, like a PlayStation 2 game, right? Like we definitely have better technology nowadays. I know, for instance, Elden Ring has a lot of optimization. Like some of the models are very low poly, but use other games as reference. One of the best games I've ever seen is The Order. You guys remember this game? I never played it, but the art for this game was gorgeous. So The Order 1886, right? Like if you take a look at the characters and the environments and everything, they were so freaking good. And this was what, like 10 years ago? So if you can't get here, well, this is our benchmark point. Like this is the kind of stuff that you need to be able to model, and you can use it as a again, like a benchmark to understand how many polygons you can actually use.